Lilo and Stitch. Live action, Dave.
Live action Lilo and Stitch, ladies and gentlemen. Adam is super excited. He's already bought tickets for this.
Step back there, Dave. Hold on. Don't throw me under the bus here yet. This is kind of going to go into conversation. Unfortunately, we don't have a trailer of Lilo and Stitch. Yeah, I don't want to explain why because we don't want to get in trouble.
It's fine. We couldn't get it just for copyright reasons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess it's not in trouble.
Yeah, copyright.
Yeah, we couldn't
Disney-
show the trailer.
Disney locks it down, y'all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We tried 3 times. They wouldn't let us have it. But this is going to go into a conversation of just state of movies in general, specifically Disney with their lack of originality.
I think the lack of originality is across the board.
I agree across the board. I don't know how I kind of want to start this conversation, but going into Lilo and Stitch, I will say, out of all the ones that I've kind of watched trailers of and actually seen, I'm not overly disappointed in this one, if that makes sense. Based off the trailer I saw, it had me a little bit more interested than, let's say, The Lion King, Little Mermaid, Moana. Like, I'm a little bit more interested in this one than the others.
I mean, I don't know. I'm just kind of like, if I'm going to be 100% honest, I'm just kind of numb to it all at this point. You know what I mean? Like, whenever I hear of a part 2 that's coming out that's taken way too long, like Gladiator, like Dumb and Dumber, or a live action remake like Lion King or Lilo and Stitch, or a reboot, or just now we have a movie version of a franchise that was popular in some other medium like comics or something like that. It's like, what? I don't know. When was the last blockbuster movie that you were excited about that didn't fall into one of those categories? I cannot even remember. Like, that's how far along we are on this lack of originality in Hollywood, is that I can't even remember the last movie that came out that I was excited about that wasn't either a remake, a reboot, a sequel that was happening far too long, or something that's been adapted from another medium. Like, where are the original movie ideas?
There's not much out there, and so I'm scrolling through the top 100 movies on IMDb, and there is nothing new out here yet. And when they do have original ideas, they're garbage. Like, they're not anything fun or exciting, or they're just the most random things. Like, the one I watched recently was Bullet Train. Have you heard of that one? Where is it? Who's the actor? Brad Pitt. Like, was it bad? No, but the idea of, like, oh, I'm stuck on a train full of assassins, like, it was kind of lame. Or Ambulance, like Ambulance, where these guys, I never saw the movie where they rob a bank and they have an ambulance. Like, I don't know. There's nothing new out there that's original and actually worth, like you said, a blockbuster. Like, this movie is, I have to see it. There's not any of those out right now.
I mean, it's not that any of them are out right now. It's like, I can't even remember the last one. Like, that's how far gone we are. What's really weird is, like, I think the genre that kind of has the most original ideas, which is going to be crazy to say, because it was the genre for the longest time that was always just rinse and repeat, carbon copy. But I think the most original ideas we're seeing right now are coming out of horror, which is crazy. Which is crazy to think, because horror always had that stigma of just being like, oh, it's either a scary stabby killer guy, or it's either like a ghost thing. You know what I mean? Like, people always were like, oh, scary movies are all the same. It's just the same 3 different things and jump scares, right? And it's like, the horror movies are the genre now that are coming up with the original ideas, where it was always in the past them having that stigma of just being a copycat. It's like, it's crazy to see that flip.
And the problem is, do you think that they're just isn't anything else to make? You think everything's been done, or you just think that it's kind of the similar conversation that we had with the state of gaming? Do you think with the movie industry and TV industry, it's one of those things like, let's just pump out quantity versus quality and not really put our creative juices into the what we're going into and just start pumping out remakes and remasters because we know those work, and now we don't have, or nobody's interested in new things. You think that is part of it? Like the consumer isn't interested in new ideas?
I'm gonna be honest, and I'm probably gonna make some people mad. I think this is on us, guys. Like I think this is on us and like our complacency of just being of just accepting the fact that like this is the content that we get now, because I think it's not only laziness on the studio's part, but it's also like security on the studio's part. It's like why bother risking putting out an original idea production when we can just make a live action remake of a movie we know people already will like and people will go see it. And it doesn't matter if it's good or not because they're going to go see it anyway. And with this day and age, it doesn't matter like it doesn't matter if the movie's good or not, right? Because for the longest time they had to, kind of the trend was always box office, right? And you wanted it to do well in box office originally to get the word out so that more people would go to the box office so that reviewers would give it a good review so that you would win awards, things like that. And then it all came down to DVD sales, right? You wanted the movie to be good because not only did you want people to love it in the movie theater, but you wanted them to buy a version of it to keep at home, right? And in this day and age, we don't need to do that anymore. Nobody goes to the movie theaters anymore. Nobody buys Blu-rays. Well, there's okay, there- there's obviously still people that go to the movie theater, but the vast majority do not, right? I wanted to see Beetlejuice, right? Beetlejuice was in the theater and then it was live streamed pay-per-view like a week later. You know what I mean? Like it's just it is what it is, right? So it doesn't it doesn't really matter if the movie's good anymore because the way that people consume the content, it's going to get seen anyway. And it's just complacency. It's complacency on the viewer. It's laziness and security on the studio and just the way that it all transpires now just breed it's a breeding ground for just making shit. You know what I mean? Which is really sad.
And like you said, it's the fact that nobody is willing to, I think, wait for it either. And with these live streaming services, like, wow, we can pump out a bunch of movies we know will be successful because of the success that it had the in the past. And even if nobody wants to buy these movies, we put them on these live streaming or like these streaming services, and we're getting our money from it that way. Like you look at all like all the Marvel movies right now, they're still making money no matter what. Like Ant Man and the Wasp, Quantum of Time. I can't remember that. Was that what it was? Quantum of Time. It's making money because it's on Disney Plus and people are paying for Disney Plus. So that movie technically is making money as you're paying for these subscriptions. And I think, like you said, there's security in the service itself. So if the movie sucks, people are still paying for those movies.
I mean, it's security in the sense of like how the game's been flipped. You no longer have to make a movie that's good enough for people to want to spend, $15 on a movie ticket for, and then another $15 months later for a Blu-ray. You have to make a movie that's good enough that of the millions upon millions upon millions of people that have these Netflix, Disney Plus, Amazon Prime, you just have to make it good enough that they'll watch it one time or at least part of it. And that's a successful movie. You know what I mean? Like the bar has been set so low on what a good movie has to be.
Yeah. And unfortunately, I don't think that Hollywood industry has, I don't think they have a way to return to such a solid foundation of movies and creativity because of that. I think that as a consumer, it's, or just in general, we have all this access that it's never gonna flip back. Like we're never gonna get all these great original ideas. Like you look at the just this weekend through Thanksgiving, this week of Thanksgiving, on Thanksgiving Day, this is the highest box office ever between two movies, and that's Wicked and Moana 2. So one, Moana 2, I guess you can call original because it's a sequel, like they're continuing on the story. But Wicked, it's not original. That's a thing that's been done for years and years in Broadway. Like it's not original, but the fact, I mean, granted, there's a huge fan base of Wicked that people don't get to see because they don't get to go to Broadway. They've never seen it in live, but this is a way they can experience it, which is cool. Like I'm not discounting the movie itself. Like it was phenomenal. People loved it, but the fact that it isn't a new original idea.
I don't know. I think we're gonna see more of this. To be honest, like I don't know the age of like new ideas that people that I don't know. Every time we have this conversation, I just feel old. But like, I think the people that really like streamline that innovative thinking in the film industry have kind of vacated, right? Like your Scorsese's, your Coppolas, your Tarantino's, like your people that like really wanted to push the boundaries and like you know deliver new stuff every time and have their brand on it. Like I don't know. I feel like there's just it's just complacency all around. Yeah, it's complacency. Like it's complacency on all aspects. Like the Hollywood studios are just they're just fine with pumping out the same things. The directors are fine pumping out the same ideas. Like the actors are fine playing the same roles, and the consumer is fine watching the same movie. It's just everybody is just like everybody's just fine. You know what I mean? Like if any one part of that chain demanded more, it would throw off the whole cycle. You know what I mean? Like if studios were like, no, we don't care about just making this easy money. We want to make something good, which will never happen. If the directors were like, I don't want to direct this piece of shit. Like I want to do something interesting. That could actually happen. If the actors were like, I really want to do something, more artistic. I don't want to do the same shit. That also could happen. And then on us, if we're just like, listen, we're not going to watch the same shit over and over, and like things will change. But you need one peg to fall out of the board before anything will happen.
And this isn't to say movies aren't good right now. Like there's some really good movies out that have come out in the last couple of years, but I just think that they're like I look at one of my favorite movies right now is Across the Spider-Verse. And that or Into the Spider-Verse, they're just the reason why that movie's so good is it's such a fresh animation. It's a comic literally brought to life. It feels like a comic. No movie's ever done that, but now you start to see that more often with and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, a great mutant mayhem, good movie, but they're taking kind of the same art style from Into the Spider-Verse. So I think you're going to start seeing more of that kind now. And so I think it's similar in the sense of like gaming where somebody sets the foundation and then everybody follows suit and not tries to innovate on their own.
And I don't know if maybe it's just again my age. Like I don't know, like maybe I was spoiled. You know what I mean? Like I grew up in the 90s. My main movie area was like the 90s and early 2000s. Just bangers. Just banger after banger after banger after blockbuster, a new idea, new director, blah 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 blah. So like maybe I was just spoiled, but like I don't know. It just feels I don't know. I don't know if it's just my genuine lack of interest or like their just genuine lack of trying. You know what I mean?
And I think this is kind of a question. We can probably put this as a question on our community posts. Are movies good now? Or how would you describe are movies innovative right now? How would you think we could ask the people with this kind of question?
Is the movie industry better off today than it was X years ago?
Yeah. And
That
I think the money box office is skewed nowadays. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, not a lot of people go to the box office, right?
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
like it's also hard to gauge numbers.
Right.
You
And just
can't.
the amount that there's such a population now that has access to all this. So the box office, it looks bigger, but you think it truly is bigger if we were to go back in time.
Right, yeah. Like if you were to do like a comparison, you have to like try to figure out a way of like I
Ticket
don't know.
amounts, like the amount of people that bought tickets rather than the money.
I don't think you'd ever be able to
Yeah,
really
that's
do it.
impossible.
But yeah, I don't know. You'd have to like. I'm sure there's some type of like AI program that could kind of formulate it. Like, generate me anticipated ticket sales based on like consumption of media platforms today for this movie, and like I don't know. I'm sure something could figure it out, but it would be way too hard.
But overall, and I have another question: Are this is just random? Are sequels better than reboots, or just depend?
I think it all depends on the
Yeah,
movie.
yeah. I think everything's either drawn out too much in sequels, or um, it's. I almost like sequels better than reboots, to be honest.
Um, I mean, it really depends on the
Or
movie and
sorry,
what you
can I
did with.
reframe the question real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
Which do you think has more success, reboots or sequels?
I don't know. It's very dependent on the movie. If we're gonna be honest, like if the first movie was good, like the Gladiator situation, right? Like people love Gladiator. So when Gladiator 2 came out, they were hyped about it. Now, if you were to tell me that they were going to do a reboot of Gladiator, and I was like, you really think that you're gonna get somebody to play that role better than Russell Crowe? Like, I don't know. I'm not excited about it. But the remake or the part 2, I'm probably a little bit more excited about it.
Right, and then you could say the same thing with like Beetlejuice. If you would have had somebody else play Beetlejuice over Michael Keaton, that's not true. And you could say like Spider-Man, Tobey Maguire did a great job, but there's a huge fans of Tom Holland, Andrew Garfield. Like there's so I guess it all depends.
It all depends on the first movie, right? If you were to tell me, you would say if you're bringing back like a character that people love, like you said with like with Russell Crowe and stuff like that, and like Keaton come up back as Beetlejuice. But if you were to tell me that they're gonna reboot the Turtles franchise and they were like, hey, you know that Michael Bay garbage? Let's forget all of that. We're gonna start over and make it way better. I would be super juiced. But if you tell me like another sequel from Michael Bay's coming out, I'd be like, I could not care. I could not care less. Like,
Basically, it comes down to, was the original movie so good that like you can't replace the actor and the story and things like that. Okay,
was it so good that like
it'll never
there's
follow up.
yeah, you could never do a reboot justice.
Right.
You know what I
Kind of
mean?
like
But
with Deadpool right now with Ryan Reynolds. Like, who do you think could? We've had this conversation. Nobody could beat Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool.
yeah, Ryan Reynolds is Deadpool. There's
Yeah.
no reboot there. There's no
Yeah.
recasting. Same
Yeah.
as Wolverine. Like,
That's why he came back.
yeah, there's no recasting Wolverine. Hugh
Yeah.
Jackman is Wolverine. Like
Except
that's just that
Henry
is
Cavill
as Wolverine.
in the movie when he like popped up. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm just kidding.
Yeah,
But
I don't know.
I don't know.
It's interesting. It's an interesting spot. It's an interesting time to be in. I don't see it getting any better if we're gonna be honest, though.
Yeah, I don't think so. And maybe that's just us. We need to kind of get with the times. And again, I'm gonna say I love movies still. I watch movies all the time, but hasn't been a movie in a long time where I'm like, wow, that really knocked the socks off me. Whoever says that anymore, old people do.
Old people do. Yeah.
I will say, you remember the movie 1917? Ever see that?
No.
Oh, you have to watch it. It was a movie done with like one film take the whole time.
Oh,
Like,
really?
yeah, it's really cool. So the movie, like, there's different takes, I think, or like there was obviously they had to reshoot things, but it's one continuous flow of the movie. Like they don't change camera angles. There's no cutting. The camera follows along with him. Very well done cinematically.
That's absolute insanity. How long is this movie?
Oh, let me look it up. It is so good. It's based off a true story in 1917. No, it's old. It came out in 2019. Let's see, film style. I'm gonna Google the film style real quick, but it was so cool. Yeah, so it gave like the impression of a single continuous take. Like there's no different like cuts or anything like that. It was really cool. And so there's a part where like bombs are being thrown and literally the scene follows along with the whole bombs, explosions, guns shooting, people dying in front of him. And so they actually took one shot. It was so cool. Yeah, so that's a really good movie. It came out in 2019. So out of movies to recommend, that's what I'm talking about. Very unique and original and makes the industry fun to watch still. So movies like that really help.
But that's a brilliant point that you brought up there. Is like a movie like that that's super innovative. That's something that you would feel like a lot of people would be excited to know about. I didn't know about because it's been overshadowed by Dumb and Dumber 2,
Dumb and Dumber
Dumberer
2
and
and
Dumberer, and Lion King live action and live action Little Mermaid and the 19th fucking Star Wars movie to come out this year.
or have you seen Oppenheimer?
Yeah, Oppenheimer is great.
I mean, it was really cool and cinematic the way they did it with the back and forth with the color and the gray, and it was cool. Again, it was unique, but it's movies that,
It was
although
a
that came out with Barbie at the same time as Barbie, and so they kind of combined them together, Barbieheimer or whatever they said.
yeah.
So, I mean, maybe the movie industry is better than what we're thinking.
I
Just
don't
nixed
know.
our whole conversation. Just kidding.
I
kidding.
don't know.
Let us
I don't
know.
know. Yeah, let us know down in the comments below because I'm still kind of, I don't know. I'm still on the fence here, man. I don't know. Whenever I go to, like, I don't watch movies anymore, really. I really
do.
don't.
I still
Like,
do watch movies.
every once in a while, I'll watch a
Yeah.
movie. But for the most part, unless there's like something that I'm kind of like interested in, which is very infrequently, like I'm just watching old stuff. I
Yeah.
just watch old movies.
Right.
You
right.
know? Just go
And-
back to the classics. Go back to the standbys, the ones that I
Yeah.
know are good.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. Well, let us know in the comments, where do you think that the movie industry is right now? Do you enjoy the movies? Is it better of times past, or is this the future of movies? Let us know in the comments below.